Welcome back to the Momentum Sports Podcast. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button. Comment down below your thoughts. Derek and I love talking about college sports, especially college football and college basketball. We're excited to get on to this next topic that you came here for. So let's get it. All right, Derek, you ready to talk about that college football playoff?
Oh yeah, I do
Yeah.
have a pick on one of those rankings. Yeah,
Yep.
you know,
Because we're
but
gonna
but
we're gonna talk about this. This is recorded pre championship week, so this is before the big matchups this weekend. Um, for the conference championships.
you know,
So what do you got, Derek? What are you thinking going into championship week?
first of all, the rankings kind of messed up. It almost was perfect. The only thing I have a disagreement with is Ohio State where they're at. I think Ohio State should have gone back further. They lost to Michigan, the team that you said that sucked really badly, and Texas doesn't have a resume. But you know
Mm.
what? At least Texas has a head-to-head comparison with Ohio State.
Yep.
At least we can prove somewhere the SEC is better than the Big Ten. But then maybe again Ohio State's just going downhill. And
Mm-hmm.
second, what happens if SMU loses? You know, do they go? Do they go out the playoff? Are they punished? Because right now Alabama has 3 losses. They have 1 loss, and Alabama's not playing this week, and they are. Now they got 2 losses. Do they get punished? I'll tell you this: they're not going to get punished. They're going to get back to 10. Alabama's going to be knocked out, and Clemson's going to be put in. That's what's going to
So
happen. So
just looking at this, I think the Big 12 champion may be out. Like the excuse me, they
what?
they
How's
may not
that?
even they may not even put him in. Well, if you look at the rankings, the Big 12
Impossible.
top two teams are 16 and 17. That's not in the top
Impossible.
12. And then
Impossible.
also, like you said, if SMU were to lose, I think that they keep Miami in there. If SMU loses, I think Miami gets out. Um, Well, I don't know actually, because
No.
I think that Miami maybe would get kicked out for possibly the Big 12 champion, but I think they're setting it up to say, hey, unless there's something weird happens, like SMU losing, then the Big 12 champion's not going to get in.
No, wait. Let me tell you one thing. You're getting confused. Okay, there has to be 5 conference ranked champions in the playoffs. That's an automatic bid. So the Big Ten will get the Big 12 will get the automatic bid, unless you're thinking of another group of five so we get in. That's
I
not how.
thought that they aren't they kind of doing away with that rule though, because
No,
they can make last minute changes. Like it kind of is
not
built where they can change that.
not this year. They have to. There has to be agreed among. The rules were agreed among of all the conferences
Uh huh.
who to go by this, and
So then what about the
they
Pac-12?
they have to no Pac-12 doesn't qualify as a bowl eligible school. I mean, qualify because they don't have the amount number of teams in the Pac-12 to be recognized,
Yeah.
so they don't qualify. So it's just going to be it. Everybody knows it's going to be either UNLV or Boise State representing the
Yeah.
G5, and then it's the other four: the Big Ten, the SEC, ACC, and
Yeah.
Big 12. That's 5. So right now, Miami's out. They're not in it. They have no shot getting in. No
They
matter
are
what
ranked number
happens,
12.
doesn't matter. Because guess what? Like you said, the Big 12 people playing the Big 12 championship are all
Yeah.
below 12, and they get the
Yeah.
automatic bid. So it bumps
So
Miami
you
out.
think that they will keep that automatic bid? There's no way that they pull a Florida
You
State with us and say, "Hey, we just don't deem this team competent."
um, well, here's the thing, man. You can't. It don't matter if they want to or not. They can't. They
Mm.
have to put them somewhere. It's in the parameters. They have to work around the parameters. No matter
Yeah.
how much they don't want it, they can all vote and say, oh, the Big 12 champion is not in. Well, you can't do that. It's
Yeah.
against the rules.
And then,
No
like
matter.
what you were saying with the whole SMU, if SMU loses, if you put Clemson in, you have to put South Carolina in, right?
Nope, South Carolina is totally out. I'm telling you this. Everybody's out
But you
from.
can't put Clemson in over South Carolina. South Carolina just beat them, and they have the same number of losses.
Doesn't matter because Clemson would get the automatic bid of conference champ. That's why.
Oh man, this is gonna be tough for the committee. They're gonna
Yeah,
get catch some heat.
let me put it this way: from 12 and down, they're all out of the playoffs except for the fact that you got the
The
Big
Big
12
12. Yeah.
championship, and possible Clemson and possible UNLV. Those are only teams that
Wow,
will
if
get you
Clemson wins, that is gonna create a bunch of chaos.
because I guarantee you, Alabama will be knocked out because you can't do that to SMU. They if they weren't in it, they would be in it anyways.
I think
So
Alabama's locked in.
no, Alabama's not locked in. It's not a sure thing.
They
Alabama,
want them
oh,
in there. I think they're locked in. I think there was a reason that they put them at 13 last week in case of upsets, and then they just moved them ahead of Miami. I think that's very telling of what they're going to do with Alabama.
they're I promise you they're not going to put them in because they're not going to do that wrong
If
to
your
SMU.
scenario happens, is what you mean.
Yeah, I'm
So,
telling you this right now. Every Alabama fan is rooting for SMU right now, so they don't have to deal with that scenario.
so if SMU wins, Alabama's in regardless. You think?
Yes, yes. So I
If
guarantee you,
SMU loses, Clemson gets in. Do they?
yeah,
Does
yeah.
Clemson
Clemson get it in as the automatic bid, and
the
SMU will
automatic
get
bid?
the and
I don't think
SMU won't.
SMU gets in with a loss.
That will drop SMU at number 10. I promise you that. And then 11 and 12's out.
I don't think SMU is in if they lose.
But I'm telling you this: every Alabama fan out there is an SMU fan
But you
right
might
now.
be onto something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Regardless, yeah, I agree
This
with
is
you.
not my opinion. This is not my opinion. This is
It
opinion.
sounds like your opinions, Derek.
No, no, no. You got Pate. He's saying it. You got the
Yeah.
On3 crew. They're saying it. Klatt saying it. Even ESPN saying it. They,
Okay.
they're all
They're
they're
talking
all
about the
saying that
automatic bid, the automatic
they're
bids.
they're talking about if SMU loses, they probably are still in.
We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. Um, interesting.
Or this
Because
system's all
I can
stupid.
tell that that system really wants Alabama in. That's the
This
thing.
it. The thing is, the system's so stupid because you're putting because of that scenario. That's the one
Yeah.
thing if we have so much controversy, especially when they have two less losses before this championship game and they have to play extra game. You might as well say, let's put a scenario with Army. Let's say Army was in the Big 12 and Army was and they win and they lost one game to
Yeah.
Notre Dame, and they go in and they play the championship and they lose that. But no, let's say they're undefeated. They beat Notre Dame. They lose the championship. They're all of a sudden they're not in. They're still in, and all of a sudden they play Navy the following week
Yeah.
and they lose that game. Well,
And
that game doesn't count.
the other thing is too that I will kind of agree with you on why to keep him in there is conference championship games should not hurt you
Mm-hmm.
because if you're forced to play that extra game when some of these other teams like Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, they're all sitting out waiting. They don't have to play an extra game.
Mm-hmm.
They just get to coast in there. So I do kind of agree with you there. Um, Man, but that Clemson one, that situation's weird because it's like if South Carolina just beat you, how could you not put South Carolina in as well? You can't move
Mm-hmm.
them past South Carolina. Like I just don't feel like that you can do that. So South Carolina kind of wedged them in a very interesting spot.
You know
But
what?
I guess we're
Mm-hmm.
just gonna have to wait and see.
But wait. Speaking of the winner of if the Longhorns win the national championship, from my text here, you might be getting married. Uh,
Dude.
yes.
Well, it's a good thing that they're never going to win the national championship. um all right. Well, let's close this one out. But yeah, let's just close this one out. In the next segment, we can talk about who our favorites are to win the college football playoff.
Hmm.
All right. Well, let's head out to the next segment then. All right, Derek. Let's talk about who's going to win the national championship this year. By the way, we are recording this just for anybody just tuning in. This is before conference championship weekend. So nothing's finalized on the order of these teams. It's just maybe grab 1 to 3 at the most teams that you think have the best chance of winning the national championship. Derek, you go first. Who's your top teams? I already know one of them, but
Okay, let me put it this way. There's only one team, maybe two teams that have a chance, and it's not Oregon. I don't think Oregon's strong enough. I
I agree.
really think Ohio State bounces back if they're on one side and they beat Oregon. They get that rematch and they beat them. That's why I don't think. I think Oregon just slipped up, and Ryan Day has his job on the line, and he needs to do something about it. When you lose four straight to Michigan, it's that bad. But with Texas, everybody, and I've been saying this since the beginning, Texas has one of the best, if not the best, defense in the country, and you
He
can't
says
even
this
deny
every
that.
year, by the
No, well,
way.
it's true this year, man. I've never seen a defense like this ever. I mean, they said the last time the defense was like this was like back in
so so
1983.
let's be honest though, real quick, Derek. What good offense has Texas faced?
What good offense? Well, you said Texas A&M had a good offense. Apparently, they got
Yeah, I
smothered.
know. I was trying to say the opposite. I was trying to say that Texas had not played a good offense.
Hmm.
But really, who do you think, like, what good offense has Texas played that their defense really showed out against?
Texas A&M. They literally shut that offense down.
Texas A&M doesn't have a very good offense.
Well, apparently, to your view, they did.
Ugh,
You
you're
know,
right.
but the point is, they shut down. Look, they're going to beat Georgia if they play like they get against.
Georgia's offense is not ranked very high either.
They said
And Georgia put 30 on y'all.
there's no way Georgia's going to have the same pressure they did against Texas the first time. Texas is going to be ready, and the way they played against Georgia's offense, I don't think Georgia's winning against Texas in the SEC championship. I don't think they're
I
going to
don't think
beat
so either.
Texas in the playoffs. That defense is solid, and this is with like one person said, I think it was Josh Pate or Joe Clatt. He said that this defense is so good that Texas can win the Natty just with 60%
Yep,
offense.
I agree.
That that's crazy.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah,
But for real,
Texas.
though, we should keep in mind Texas has not faced a legit offense.
Well, they're going to
Now,
be faced though.
if you look at all of these teams in the playoffs, um, really Oregon would be the tester. If you can slow
Mm-hmm.
down Oregon, that's whenever you would know that you do have a legit defense. But again, Texas did play all the SEC teams that were like lowest in offense. I think Arkansas was probably the top rated offense that they played.
And still, we haven't played it. A we haven't won against a ranked team because apparently Texas A&M went off the ranked.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow. So still no current top 25 wins.
that'll change next. That'll change this Saturday.
Yeah, it might. Um, but let's move on. I actually agree with you. I think that Texas is in a very good shot, or like they they have a very good opportunity to win the whole thing. I think that they have a really good defense, and like you were saying, you pointed out that only 60% of their offense, like only having um, I guess yeah, 60% offensive efficiency. Then
Strength.
yeah, sure, strength. Um, I I think that that's enough. Ewers
Hmm.
doesn't have to have a lights out game. They just need to play decent enough to get some first downs, get some, a strong rushing attack. Uh,
Hmm.
what was that running back's name again? Was it Wisner?
Weisner, the fourth
Yeah,
string
yeah,
running back for the.
yeah. He did.
No, I'm
He had a
sorry.
really good like a game like that where you have like, you know, Quinn Ewers having a tough game, but then you have a strong running game
Hmm.
where
And
you're
you.
getting yards and you're gonna score. Um, and your defense can do everything to stop the opposing team. I think another team that's built similarly is Georgia. And that's what's
Hmm.
interesting about this is that these two teams could play potentially 3 times this season.
Yeah.
Georgia and Texas are built very similarly. Um, I personally think both quarterbacks are overrated on each side, and which is kind of interesting. And their defense can win them ball games, and
Well. Hmm.
it'll be really interesting just to see. I think that those two teams are the best built for a championship, and I agree with you with Oregon. Me personally, I do not think offensive-minded teams win championships. As soon as somebody figures out to slow down their offense, like a Texas, like a Georgia, Oregon's in trouble. Wisconsin slowed them down. It's just Wisconsin didn't have a competent offense to go and score at the end of that game. Somebody in the playoff will have a competent offense to go and score at the end of the game, and Oregon will get beat, in my opinion. Um, I think it's really just Georgia and Texas for me that I'm most confident in. I'm not confident in Ohio State anymore. They were kind of my preseason champion, but Will Howard to me he is just he makes mistakes in big time situations. Too many
Hmm.
times in these losses, he was mainly the one responsible for um either a turnover, clock management, a number of things, and I just don't think that he has what it takes. And Ohio State has dropped 2 games that they were favored in. I just no, I'm just not
Yeah.
buying it. And then the team I'm rooting for is old Boise State. I really hope they win the Natty. Not sure it'll happen, but it
No.
would be really cool to see. So that'll be my Cinderella. My Cinderella pick will be Boise State.
Well, JT might break the Barry Sanders record if you, because all he needs like 100 and something yards. He breaks Barry Sanders' single
Yep.
season record.
That's easy work
Well,
for Genty. Easy
yeah.
work.
If yeah, the thing is, Barry Sanders did it in 11 games.
Wow. That's pretty incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, so you have extra games nowadays.
Yeah.
But anything else that you want to add, Derek? Who anybody else? What do you think of the Georgia pick? Do you think excuse me, Georgia's up there too?
I think Georgia has a shot if they get past Texas, but they better hope they don't play them because right now they're predicted to be a 7 seed,
So,
and
Derek,
their win goes to Texas.
What if this scenario happens? What do you think of this? Let's say that Georgia beats Texas again in the SEC championship.
Oh,
Hypothetically.
die.
Hypothetically, that happens, but then Texas beats them in the national championship. What would you make if you were a Georgia fan? How would you feel? What do you think Kirby Smart's response would be to the whole setup, the whole committee thing? To be forced to play a team 3 times, do you think that that's a flaw in the system and it should be removed somehow?
No, because they would end up in the national championship that happened. Because first of
Right,
all, if
but playing 3 times, do you think that that should be prevented?
not, no, he wouldn't say that because he knew that there could be a chance to play 2 times in the playoffs and meet up in the I mean in the SEC championship and meet up in the playoffs. That's how it would
Right.
go with any
But
team.
if Georgia owns the series 2-1, but Texas gets the national championship.
Doesn't matter. It's matter when that national championship happens. You can,
Yeah.
you know what? We
It's
can
just an
talk
interesting
baseball.
scenario,
Wh-
like for real, man.
No,
That's gonna be
you can say that with any team. You can say
I
in
know, that's what I mean.
baseball
Yeah,
they
anybody.
win this like a team
But
beats
this is a
another team
likely
and
scenario. Like this could
it's
happen.
well, it'll just say that Georgia
Like
was a
Ohio
playoff
State and
team.
Oregon, they're not playing 3 times. The most they could play is 2. But Georgia and Texas could legitimately play 3 times this year.
Yep, and that happens. You know, that's
Wow.
the thing because you know what? It's not about that. It's not about the SEC championship. It's about who could be better in playoff time. You know what?
Yeah.
Texas beat Georgia. They were just a better team who held the distance of multiple, like what, 13 games or
Well, they got
14,
3
15.
shots at one team.
Hey, you know what? I can tell you this: if Texas loses, it's because Texas wanted to lose. You know why? Because they would get that fifth seed. There's no way Penn State would keep that fifth seed.
Yeah.
Texas would get the fifth seed, and they would get the easy road all the way to the semis. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
then again,
Derek, who's going to
mm-hmm.
get upset first in this playoff?
Oh, Oregon.
I'm thinking Penn State. I think Oregon gets past the first round. I think Penn State loses maybe in the first.
But then Ohio State would play Oregon in the first round.
Ohio State is playing well, we don't know. We don't know how everything's going to land yet.
The way these rankings are going, they will, because Penn State will go to number 5. Georgia loses, they'll go behind Ohio State. Basically, Ohio State will stay in the same ranking they are now. What, that's 6?
Yeah.
So 5 plays 12, and then okay, maybe not. They would play in the semifinals. Yep.
Yeah. So, my prediction is Penn State will be one of the if not the only upset, but definitely going to be one of them. Uh, I just personally think that Penn State's overrated. I think that they have a super easy schedule, a little bit easier than Texas's schedule, and
Well, they played Ohio State close. Just
well,
saying.
I don't know if that's saying much right now after
And
last
Ohio
weekend.
State lost by 1 to Oregon. So I mean,
Well, you also said you thought Oregon was overrated, so
they
um,
still are.
yeah. So anyway, let's head out to the next segment. Derek, let's talk about Ryan Day here, man. In my opinion, those boys are being too hard on this guy. He gets 10 wins every single season. He beats Penn State every single season,
Mm-hmm.
but he loses to Michigan every season. And
For the
also,
last,
he's made the playoffs I think 3 times. This will be the 4th.
well, how long has Ryan Day been the head coach?
He was there whenever Fields was there.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah, he's getting fired.
So
He's been there
he's
too
been
long.
to a national championship. He's brought them to the playoffs a number of times. 3 or 4. This is either the 3rd or 4th appearance. I think it's the 4th appearance. Um I mean still it's just like I don't know how can you fire a coach after making the college football playoff? I mean if they lose the first round, do you think that he's out? Like legitimately, do you think he's out if they lose
Oh
this
yeah, one
playoff
hundred
game?
percent.
Really?
The only reason they haven't fired him because they're in the playoffs. You know, that's just his last hope. Because you sign up to be a Ohio State Buckeye head coach, And there's only one thing you need to do. They don't care if you lose all your games. Beat Michigan. Well, you lost them four straight. Guess what? People are not happy. But if you win them a natty, guess what? They love you again. But yeah, you can lose all the Michigan games you want, but if you don't win the natties every time you do, he's gone. I'm telling you that right now. He is gone. If he does not win a national championship, he is gone.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I don't know, man. Um, I think that it's a little ridiculous to do that, but I guess we'll see. I don't know of any other program that would do that. LSU is still holding on to Brian Kelly. I know Brian Kelly is most likely on the hot seat right now. But still, if you make the college football playoff pretty much every year, I just don't see it. I get that the whole loss to Michigan, it sucked, but the end of the day, they're still in the college football playoff, and they are contenders in the college football playoff. I think that
Hmm.
one thing that they missed out on this year, though, is going after a legit quarterback. They got rid of McCord because they needed to get a better quarterback, but instead they went and got Will Howard. And no offense to Will Howard, but he's not really an upgrade to Kyle McCord, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. How long has Ryan Day been OSU's head coach? If you think about that, he's been there since what? It says
So,
here. He says he's the 24th and current head coach of the Ohio State University,
right.
a position he has held since 2019. So you're saying this is his fourth time in the playoffs is not true because they lost four straight to Michigan. You
They still
know,
made it in.
so he's been 1 year. He's been there for 5 years.
So
He's been in the playoffs for 1 year.
Justin Fields made a championship game. Then they lost,
2019.
yeah, and then they lost to Georgia.
Yep.
And then okay, so
And
this would be the third year then.
so this is the second time because they lost to Michigan four times.
No, 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 no. They've been in the playoffs two different times then.
Not with Day because
Yeah,
yeah,
they have.
2019. He was the head coach in 2019.
Yes, I know. That's one.
2020, no. 2021, no. 2022, no. And then 2023, no.
Mm-mm.
Wait.
Mm-mm-mm. You're missing
Yeah,
one. When did they lose to
20,
Georgia?
2019.
No. That
Wait,
year they
no.
I think they lost to isn't that the year they played LSU or Alabama? Alabama beat them in the championship. Georgia beat them on a separate time. So this will be their
This
third.
it's let me see here. Georgia, Ohio State's last national appearance.
No,
Oh,
no,
that's not
playoff.
right.
Playoff.
Oh, playoff.
Playoff.
Oh, okay. Ohio State's last playoff, and I'm
Which
looking this
is the
up right
top
now.
four teams in the nation
Yeah.
until this
Okay.
year.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
There's December 31st, 2022 was the last
Yep.
time they lost a narrow one,
To
42
Georgia.
41. Oh yeah, that was a close game. But no, uh, then that was only one time. They've never been to the playoffs before then. They didn't go to the playoffs in 2019, or maybe they did.
They did.
Then okay,
They
maybe they
played
did.
Alabama in a national championship. I'm pretty sure they may have gone one other time, but regardless, three, four, whatever it is, that's an incredible resume. Like, look at the winningest coaches, current winningest coaches right now, and Ryan Day is on that list.
Mac Brown was on that list.
He's okay. I'm talking about most wins, like win to loss ratios.
Yeah. Well, Mac Brown had
Uh,
10 win seasons for
like,
10 years.
well, I'm talking about right now. Ryan Day wins 10 games a season. Sometimes he even gets to 12. He gets between 10 and 12 wins a season.
Mm-hmm.
He's at 10 right now.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
You would fire a coach
Yep.
after a 10-win season.
For that kind of program, who puts $20 million into players? Yes,
Then
I would.
Alabama must be firing, and LSU too, because LSU, Alabama, these programs also, Georgia, with Kirby Smart missing the playoffs last year, losing to Bama for the I don't know how many times, he must have been fired too, right?
But the difference is what I said in the beginning of this discussion. I said the whole job description for Ohio State's head coaching position is to beat Michigan. That was always the bread and butter because they hate each other. They hate each other so much they're willing to tear up each other's flags and fist fights where the cops have to spray pepper spray. Okay, that's why
So,
they're hired.
so Urban Meyer never lost to Michigan?
Meyer was winning against Michigan. Michigan had a slump those years.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why he
they
kept
were
his
really
job.
bad. That's why he kept his
Yeah.
job. Ryan Day comes in and Michigan figures it out.
You don't want to go down as a coach who lost 4 straight to Michigan?
I'm just
No.
saying, man, like firing a coach after 10 wins to me without there being like a scandal or something weird, like it just sounds ridiculous. And
Mm-hmm.
who would want to take a job like that where you could get fired after 10 wins?
Texas is like that.
They would not fire Sark after 10 wins.
No, because he has improved significantly. He started out, did this, and he did better than next year.
Texas
And
will
then the
not be
following year,
firing a coach after a 10-win season.
no, they did it to Mac Brown.
He didn't have a 10-win season his last season. They didn't have anybody go to the NFL draft that year.
No, but he had the record for most wins. He had a legacy for
Okay,
the long
but
run.
not his last couple years. I'm talking about
No one can
coming
be
off of a
perfect.
10-win season. Nobody fires their head coach after a 10-win season. I get you're annoyed by losing to Michigan. I get it. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get that figured out. But you're in the college football playoff. And
Exactly.
guess what? Every single year you're going to play Michigan again. There's next year. There's the year after that. There's the year after that. And guess what? Even if you lose to Michigan, you're still getting in the college football playoff.
It is what it is. That's how it is.
I'm just saying, like, it just sounds ridiculous to me to fire a coach after 10 wins. And again, like, who would want to go there if they're going to fire a guy after 10 wins?
If you lose 4 straight, yeah, you should
I
get
mean,
fired.
like, Ohio State does not have the most national championships. I do not think. I think it's Alabama.
Well,
So I guess
Ohio's
Alabama's at 9 wins. I guess it's time to get rid of DeBoer, right?
well, DeBoer's new. You gotta give him some time. There's
All
a
right.
difference.
I get the Michigan factor. I do. I get that's the issue. It's the Michigan thing. But here's again, if you make it to the college football playoff and I don't know, you win 1 or 2 games in there, that you're in the national championship game or whatever. And even if he loses in the first round, it's still like I don't know. Anyway, I think I'm
I
beating a
say
dead horse on this one, but I
I
just think
say
it's
that
ridiculous.
I say national champion. Most people are saying semifinal. If he doesn't win the semifinal, he's out. That's why I hear a lot too. And this is not coming from me. It's coming from other people.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I get there will be disappointment if they lose, but look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss put just as much into the portal and money into getting the players and all of that, and they're not in there.
Ohio, Ohio State has the biggest payroll of players right now. That's 20 million, and they're
Ole Miss is
injured.
not far behind.
Texas is a lot closer.
Okay, sure. Uh, anyway, again, Sark's not getting fired after a 10-win season.
Well, Stark has actually progressed.
I'm
Ohio
talking
State.
about if he goes to the playoff a couple more times, Um, he's not getting fired after a 10-win season. That is just unheard of.
Stark hit his benchmarks. All they wanted was a conference championship, and he got them. Now they won a national title, and he's on the verge of getting that for quite a few years.
How many wins did Ryan Day get his first season?
How many? I have no idea.
Look it up.
I'll look it up. Well, it's
Yeah,
probably a
look up Ryan Day's first season. Look at how many wins he got.
first of all, okay. You can't compare that crap. Ryan Day took over for Urban Meyer, who had to leave
How
on
many
medical.
wins?
There, no. There's a difference. Urban
How many wins?
Stark had a different team. I'm not looking at the wins
What is
because
the
that doesn't
least
matter.
amount of wins that Ryan Day has ever had at Ohio State? What is the
Yes.
lowest number of wins in one season?
Well, I'm sorry, but I tell you this: it's a lot better than what Stark
It's a
got.
lot better than Sark's. Yeah, it's a lot
But
better
you
than
know why?
everybody in the
You
country,
know
pretty
why?
much.
You know why? Ryan Day was handed a present. He
Okay, you
was
could
handed
say,
a rat present. Urban
DeBoer
Meyer.
was handed Nick Saban's team.
Yeah, and guess what? They're still in the playoff conversation. That's the thing. But a lot of people jump shit from Alabama. Nobody jumped shit from
All right,
Ohio State.
let's see what happens. If Ohio State loses, y'all can come back here in the comments section and give me the "I told you so." But y'all better show up. Anybody that's saying Ryan Day should be fired if he loses in the first round, and if that happens, if they lose in the first round, you better own up to it and be like, hey, I was the one saying that Ryan Day would be out of here if they lost in the first round, and I was wrong.
They're
So
not losing the first round.
we'll see. We don't
Look
again. We don't
how
know the matchups. We don't know for sure what the matchups will be. This weekend could be very interesting. If Clemson wins, get ready for a bunch of chaos. So anyway, I think that's it for this segment. So we're gonna head on to the next one. See you guys in the next video. Derek, let's talk about these conference championship games. Let's start out with UNLV and Boise State. This will be the second matchup between the two.
mm-hmm. It was a pretty good game last time. Boise State ended up winning. I think the same outcome is going to happen. I think I give UNLV a lot of credit, but I just don't see them beating Boise State. They found the
Yeah.
formula to stop Ashton Genty
Mm-hmm.
to a point. Ashton Genty still did his thing, but they found the formula. But it still wasn't enough to beat Boise State. So
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening.
I agree with you. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. Tulane and Army.
And by
What do
the
you
way,
think?
it's too late. Learn your French. Uh, but no, I think Army. Okay, first of all, Tulane was the favorite against Memphis, and I said there's
Yeah.
no way.
You
I
did.
was thinking. I was thinking like, okay, Memphis is the favorite, and Tulane's the underdog. So let's just throw it out. Let's say Tulane's. Well, no, wait. You said Tulane is the favorite. I said, well, this is going to be the easy upset right here because
Yep.
apparently Memphis did win. I don't think Tulane's strong enough. I think them being Navy, shutting out Navy. Navy just went downhill after they played Notre Dame. I don't know what happened to them. But Army's still playing hot, and I don't see Tulane beating them. Army wins that game.
I kind of want Army to win, but I just kind of have a feeling that they're not. I don't
Oh, the
know. I just excuse me. Just after watching both Army and Navy after the Notre Dame game, I know Army did win their next weekend. It was against UTSA, but I don't know. I just man, this one's tough. I think Tulane's going to win this one,
All right.
but
Guess
we
I'm
will
2 and
see.
0.
All right. Now, Iowa State and Arizona State. Arizona State is favored by 2.
Well, Arizona State started out slow, and then they started going at it.
Mhm.
And I think what got them going was a Texas State game. They were so far behind that Texas State game. They said we need to do something. They found something, and that spark ran all the way through to today. So
Yeah.
you know, uh, I think Arizona State will make this a close game. I think they could win, but I also think Iowa State can win. But if I truly had to pick one, I'm going to say Arizona State wins it.
Mhm.
Possible Iowa State upset.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you too. I think it could kind of be a coin flip. It could be either one, but I'd be leaning
Mm-hmm.
toward Arizona State as well.
Yep. All right, you're
All
2 and
right.
1 now.
Yeah. Here's the big one, Derek. Georgia and Texas. Texas is favored by 2.5.
Okay, everybody's saying why is Texas favored after Georgia beat them in their own house? And I can tell you one thing and one thing for sure. Ewers is not the same quarterback as he was when he was in Georgia because he was coming off injury and he was throwing overthrowing passes and all that because he wasn't back in game sync.
He
When
still does
you,
that.
but the thing is, when you were at A&M, he was actually throwing closer to the receiver than he was in the Georgia game. So that right there is going to help. Second, Georgia's defense just came at Ewers left and right. That's not happening again. That
Mm.
is not happening again. And then Georgia had a horrible time against Texas defense. And the only time that Georgia scored was within like 50 yards of turnovers. It was turnovers. It was off turnovers, field position, and they were within 50 or 40 yards or 60 yards. It wasn't Georgia back 20, like the 20, 25 and have to go set 80 to 75 yards. They scored when it was a short drive, and that actually helped them. Well, that's not going to happen this time. Texas's defense is too good, and just like last game, Texas defense is going to make Georgia look like crap, and they're not going to get the short field range like they did last time. So Texas wins this.
Yeah, I do think Texas is going to win this too. For me, Georgia sleeps sometimes in some of these games, and then whenever they're, ready to go, they are a freaking tough team to beat. But I don't know. I just kind of have a suspicion that Georgia in the SEC championship games has slept in the past and like lost to Alabama
Mm-hmm.
or I think every time Alabama played them, they beat them in the SEC championship game. I don't know what it is. For some reason, they overlook that game and don't take it serious enough. I think I think Texas is going to get him this time. But I do think that
Mm-hmm.
there's a possible rematch in the national championship potentially that will define a clear winner. Let's do Penn State at Oregon. Or I guess it's not at Oregon, but Penn State against Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
in Indianapolis.
okay, so here's the thing: Oregon's been great all year, and they could go undefeated.
Yeah.
But this is my upset of the whole thing. I think I really believe Penn State beats Oregon. Penn State had a close game against Ohio State. Ohio State had a close game against Oregon. The only reason Oregon won because they got lucky. You know, that's why they won.
Mm.
You put this situation in, I think Penn State pulls off the upset and beats Oregon. It's going to be a close game, but I think that's what happens.
Yeah, I don't think Oregon loses this one. I just don't think Penn State is all that. I think that they've had a very easy schedule. They played one big game, and it was against the Ohio State University, who we are figuring out may not be as good as we had thought. It's not that they're bad, it's just that they're not that top tier 1, 2, 3 level team that we thought they were coming into the
Mm-hmm.
season. Um, I think Oregon is still going to win this one, and that Penn State is going to lose this one in most likely the first round in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well that's going to lead us to the last matchup, Clemson and SMU, and this matchup can cause some chaos in the college football playoff.
Oh yeah. You
So
know
what's
what?
going to happen, Derek? What's going to
Okay,
happen?
I think SMU is going to win this game, but I guarantee you there are about, I don't know, 80 to 100,000 more fans rooting for SMU, because guess what happens is SMU loses. They're going to have two losses. Alabama's going to have three.
Yep.
I say Alabama's going to get knocked out because they didn't play a game, and SMU was forced to play this game. Because if they weren't in and they would have had that crazy tiebreaker and kept SMU out, SMU would have probably gotten into the playoffs the way
Yep.
everything turned out,
That's a good
and they
point.
wouldn't be playing the championship. So should they get hurt for something like this? No, they shouldn't. I think committee's going to see it. I think they're going to be pushed back to 10. Miami's already out, but Alabama will be out. But I really think SMU wins, and there won't be any controversy in the playoffs. Let's hope not. But if there is, there's going to be a lot of fouls. So we'll see.
Yep. I agree with you. I think SMU is going to win, but you just never know.
Mm-hmm.
And this one being one of the final, or it will be the final game with the Penn State Oregon game. Ooh, that would sure be a way to finish the day, wouldn't it? If
Mm-hmm.
this game had an upset, but
Yep.
um, hopefully for Alabama's sake too. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and some of these other teams that, man, the committee's gonna have so much on their hands if Clemson wins this game. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to head to the next segment. So check us out in our next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you got this far, please consider hitting that like button and commenting down below with your thoughts. We'll see you guys in the next video.